Hi, I'm Sarah. Today, I'm going to read you the story of Judy, which is titled like this. I walked into my sister's backyard and overheard. I hope she got into an accident and won't come. My whole family laughed. I didn't leave. I went inside and pretended everything was okay. But the next morning, their lives changed. Well, let's go. My name is Judy, and I'm 45 years old. I live alone in my house in Portland, Oregon. I got divorced about 5 years ago. It wasn't a bad divorce, just one of those things where two people realize they want different things in life. We split everything fairly and went our separate ways. My ex-husband remarried 2 years ago and moved to California. I was happy for him. One thing I've always regretted is that I couldn't have children. We tried for years, but it just never happened. After the divorce, I made peace with it. I focused on other things in my life instead. I still had my family, though. My parents, who were in their 70s and still healthy, and my younger sister, Kelly, who's 38. Kelly has always been the favorite child. She got married young, had two beautiful kids, a daughter named Emma who's 14, and a son named Tyler who's 10. After my divorce, I ended up with a good amount of money. My ex-husband and I had both worked hard and saved well. The house I kept was paid off, and I had a nice amount in my savings and investment accounts. I didn't need to work anymore. I lived comfortably off the interest from my money. I traveled sometimes, volunteered at a local food bank, and donated to charities I cared about. I tried to be a good aunt and daughter. I helped my family whenever they needed it. A few years ago, Kelly and her husband wanted to buy a house, but didn't have enough for the down payment. I gave them $40,000 from my savings. They were so grateful. At least I thought they were. That Saturday in late summer, Kelly was having a family barbecue at her house, the house I'd helped her buy. I'd made a homemade peach pie that morning, one of my specialties. I drove over around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. When I got to her house, I parked on the street and walked up carrying the pie. The gate to the backyard was closed, but I could hear voices behind it. I was about to open it when I heard Kelly's voice clearly. "Where's Judy?" she said. Someone answered, but I couldn't hear what they said. Then Kelly laughed and said, "I hope she got into an accident and won't come." Everyone laughed, multiple voices. I recognized my mom's laugh, my dad's too. Kelly's husband, Mark, even the kids. I stood there frozen, holding my pie. My heart was pounding. For a second, I thought about turning around and leaving, but I didn't. I opened the gate and walked into the backyard like nothing had happened. Nobody smiled when they saw me. Nobody said hello or came over to greet me. It had been like this for a while now, but I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was being too sensitive. I walked over to the food table and sat down my pie. Then I went to the far end of the table where there was an empty folding chair and sat down. My parents were sitting at the other end. They glanced at me and nodded. That was it. No hug, no hello, nothing. Kelly and Mark were by the grill. They didn't even look at me. Emma and Tyler were playing in the yard. They ran past me like I wasn't there. I sat there for 3 hours. I didn't eat anything. I just drank water and watched everyone else. They talked and laughed and ate. They acted like I didn't exist. When the party started winding down, I got up and helped clean. I cleared dishes, wiped down tables, threw away trash. Kelly didn't thank me. Nobody did. When everything was clean, I picked up my empty pie dish. The pie had been eaten. Not a single slice left. Nobody had said it was good. Nobody had said anything about it at all. I said goodbye to no one in particular and left. When I got home, I went straight to bed. I didn't even change my clothes. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying what I'd heard over and over. I hope she got into an accident and won't come. And everyone had laughed. The next morning, I got up and made coffee. I sat at my kitchen table and started thinking about everything I'd done for my family over the years. The $40,000 for Kelly's house. That was just the beginning. I paid for Emma's braces last year, $3,000. I bought Tyler a new computer for school, $1,500. I'd given my parents money for a new roof on their house, $20,000. I paid for family vacations, bought birthday presents and Christmas presents, helped with car repairs and medical bills, and this was how they felt about me. They wished I'd been in an accident. I picked up my phone and called my friend Rachel. I'd met her during my divorce. She was a lawyer who specialized in inheritance law and estate planning. She'd helped me sort out my finances when my ex-husband and I split everything up. "Rachel, it's Judy," I said when she answered. "Can I come see you? I need some advice." "Bring all your documents," she said. Wills, powers of attorney, everything. The next morning, I gathered all my paperwork and drove to Rachel's office. She sat me down and asked what was going on. I told her everything about the barbecue, about what Kelly had said, about how I'd been helping my family for years. Rachel listened quietly. When I finished, she looked through my documents. "This $40,000 you gave Kelly for the house," she said. "Do you have any kind of agreement with her? A loan document? Anything in writing?" "No," I said. "I just gave it to her as a gift." Rachel shook her head. "Then legally you can't get it back. It was a gift with no conditions attached." I felt my stomach sink. "So she just gets to keep it after everything she said?" "I'm afraid so," Rachel said. "But we can make sure she doesn't get anything else from you. We can change your will and revoke any powers of attorney you've given her." I sat there for a minute processing that $40,000 gone. But at least I could stop her from taking more. When I got home that afternoon, I felt a little better. At least I'd done something. But I was still angry about that money. I sat down at my desk and pulled out my file cabinet. I went through everything. My will, my power of attorney documents, my insurance beneficiary forms, everything. And that's when I realized just how much access Kelly had to my life. She was listed as my power of attorney. She could make medical decisions for me if I was incapacitated. She could access my bank accounts. She was the beneficiary on my life insurance. She was in my will as the primary heir. My parents were secondary heirs. Emma and Tyler were listed too. I felt sick looking at it all. These people who wished I'd been in an accident were set to inherit everything I had. The next morning, I went back to Rachel's office. I had my folder of documents with me. "I want to revoke the power of attorney I gave Kelly," I said. "And I want to change my will. I want to remove my parents, Kelly, and her kids from my heirs." Rachel looked at me carefully. "Are you sure about this, Judy?" "Completely sure," I said. "Okay," she said. "Who do you want as your heirs instead?" I thought about it. "I don't know yet. Maybe a professional manager who can handle everything or charities. I just know that none of them are getting anything." Rachel nodded and started working on the documents. It took a couple of hours. We went through everything line by line. She removed Kelly from all the power of attorney documents. She took my parents, Kelly, Emma, and Tyler out of my will. She changed all my beneficiary designations. When we finished, I signed everything. Rachel notarized all the papers and gave me copies. "Keep these somewhere safe," she said. I went home feeling lighter, like I'd finally done something to protect myself. As soon as I got home, I called a locksmith. He came that afternoon and changed the locks on both my front and back doors. He made me several copies of the new keys, but I didn't plan to give any of them to my parents or Kelly. The next day, I went to my bank. I asked to speak with the manager, a woman named Susan, who I'd worked with for years. "I need you to check all the authorized users on my accounts," I said. Susan pulled up my information on her computer. "You have one authorized card holder," she said. "Your sister Kelly." "I want to remove her access immediately," I said. "Cancel her card, delete her from all my accounts, and reissue everything only in my name. I also want to change all my security questions, my online login, and my password." Susan looked surprised, but didn't ask questions. "I can do that right now." It took about an hour to get everything changed. When I left the bank, I felt even better. A few hours later, my phone rang. It was Kelly. "Judy, what the hell is going on?" Kelly said. Her voice was sharp. "I just tried to buy school supplies for the kids and my card was declined. I can't access your account." "That's because I removed your access," I said calmly. "What? Why would you do that?" "Because I heard what you said at the barbecue," I said. "I heard you say you hoped I'd been in an accident and wouldn't come. And I heard everyone laugh, including your kids and our parents." There was a pause. Then Kelly said, "That's ridiculous. You must have heard wrong." I laughed. "I'm not deaf, Kelly. I heard you perfectly." And I heard everyone laugh. "You're overreacting," she said. "No, I'm not," I said. "I'm done being your ATM machine. Don't call me again." I hung up. About 30 minutes later, my phone started ringing again. First, my parents, then Mark, Kelly's husband. I didn't answer any of the calls. Then, the text messages started. My mom wrote that I was being unreasonable. My dad wrote that I was overreacting. Mark wrote that I needed to calm down and think about the kids. I didn't respond to any of them. The next day, I had an appointment with a real estate lawyer that Rachel had recommended. His name was David Thompson. I brought all my house documents with me. The deed, tax records, repair bills, everything. "I want to put my house into a trust," I told him. "I don't want anyone from my family to have access to it now or after I die." David nodded. "A lifetime trust would work. You'd be the trustee and beneficiary while you're alive. After you die, the house could be transferred to whoever you choose." "I don't want it to go to anyone," I said. "I want it sold after I die, and I want all the money donated to charity." David looked surprised, but he just wrote it down. "Okay. And I assume you want to remove your sister from any beneficiary designations related to the property." "Yes," I said. "Remove her from everything." We spent almost 2 hours working on the documents, checking details, signing papers, setting up conditions. When we finished, David handed me a folder. "This is your trust package," he said. "Keep it somewhere safe." I thanked him and left. When I got home, I barely walked through the door when I heard a car pull up outside. I looked out the window and saw Kelly and Mark getting out. They came to my front door and knocked. I didn't answer. Kelly knocked again, louder this time. "Judy, open the door. We need to talk to you." I stayed quiet. Then I heard a key turning in the lock, or trying to. Kelly was using her old key, the one that didn't work anymore because I'd changed the locks. "What the hell?" I heard Kelly say. "She changed the locks." She started pounding on the door. "Judy, I know you're in there. Open this door right now." I went in my living room, turned on the TV, and turned up the volume. I sat there watching some cooking show while Kelly yelled my name outside. Eventually, they gave up and left. A few days later, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Aunt Judy." It was a young voice. "Emma." "Hi, Emma," I said. "What's going on?" She asked. "Mom and Dad keep saying you've gone crazy and won't talk to them." "What happened?" I took a deep breath. "Do you remember what your mom said at the barbecue? Right before I arrived?" There was a pause. "You mean when she said she hoped you'd been in an accident?" "Yes," I said. "That's exactly what I mean." Emma was quiet for a moment. "I remember." I laughed too, but I didn't think it was that big of a deal. "It was just a joke." "It wasn't a joke to me," I said. "I found out what my family really thinks of me, and I decided I'm not going to help people who wish I was dead." "I'm really sorry, Aunt Judy," Emma said. Her voice was small. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I really am sorry." I thought about it. Emma was just 14. She was a kid who laughed along with the adults without thinking about what it meant. "Come visit me tomorrow," I said. "We need to talk." Emma came over the next day. She stood at my door looking nervous, like she wasn't sure I'd actually let her in. I opened the door. "Come in." We sat down in my living room. Emma looked at her hands. "I'm really sorry, Aunt Judy," she said again. "I know I already said it on the phone, but I mean it." I shouldn't have laughed. It was mean. "Yes, it was," I said. "But you're 14. You didn't think about what it meant. Your mom's the adult. She should have known better." "I know," Emma said quietly. "But I still feel bad." I looked at her. She seemed genuinely sorry. "I still love you, Emma. But I'm not ready to forgive you yet. I need time." "I understand," she said. "I'll wait as long as you need." We talked for a while after that about school, about what she wanted to do after graduation, about her friends. It felt almost normal. When she left, I felt a little better. The next few days were quiet. Then my family started showing up at my house again. My parents came first. They knocked on my door and called through it. "Judy, this is ridiculous," my mother said. "We're a family. You can't just abandon us over one little comment." I didn't answer. You're being completely unreasonable, my father added. Open this door right now. I stayed inside and didn't say a word. Kelly and Mark came the next day. Kelly banged on the door. You've gone crazy, Judy, she yelled. This is insane. You're destroying our family. I turned up the TV and ignored her. After that happened a few more times, I realized something. I was never going to have peace as long as I lived in this house. They knew where I was. They could show up whenever they wanted. I needed to move. I called a realtor named Tom who'd helped me and my ex-husband sell a rental property years ago. I explained that I wanted to sell my current house and buy something smaller. I want a nice apartment, I said. Something that's comfortable, but nothing fancy, and I need this done quickly and quietly. I don't want my family to know about it. Tom said he could help. Within 2 weeks, he'd found me a perfect apartment in a different neighborhood. It was smaller than my house, but it had everything I needed. 2 bedrooms, a nice kitchen, good natural light. We closed on the apartment quickly. I started packing my things in secret, a little bit at a time so it wouldn't be obvious. I didn't tell anyone my new address. Not my parents, not Kelly, not even Emma. When everything was ready, I hired movers and moved out in one day. I left my old house empty and ready for the new owners. The apartment cost less than my house had been worth, so the difference went back into my savings account. 2 weeks after I moved, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Kelly. We went to your house and found out you sold it. Where are you living now? We need to know where you are. I didn't respond. A week later, I got an email from my parents. They wrote that I was behaving like a crazy person, that I'd abandoned my family, that they were ashamed of me. The email ended with, if anything ever happens to you, don't come crying to us for help. We won't accept you back after what you've done. I read it twice, then deleted it. If that was how they felt, then fine. I didn't need them either. I didn't talk to any of them after that. Not my parents, not Kelly, not Mark. The only person I stayed in contact with was Emma. She'd call me sometimes and we'd meet at a coffee shop to talk. I never gave her my new address. I didn't want her telling her parents where I lived. A few weeks after I moved, Emma had her 15th birthday. I met her at our usual cafe and gave her a card with $500 in it. Her eyes went wide when she opened it. It's for you, I said. Use it for something you need. I'm going to save it for a laptop, she said. For college. Thank you so much. I smiled. That's smart. I'm proud of you. Emma looked down at her drink. Things are kind of hard at home right now. Mom had to get a second job. Dad's working extra shifts. They're struggling to pay the mortgage and the medical insurance. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, and I was a little, but mostly I felt nothing. They keep talking about you, Emma said. About how you were supposed to help them, and now they have to do everything themselves. I helped them for years, I said. I gave your mom $40,000 for that house. I paid for your braces. I bought Tyler's computer. I helped your grandparents with their roof, and they wished I'd been in an accident, so now they can help themselves. Emma nodded. I get it. I really do. We finished our coffee and said goodbye. 6 months passed. I settled into my new life. I volunteered at the food bank twice a week. I took a painting class at the community center. I traveled to Vancouver for a long weekend. I was happy living alone, doing what I wanted, not worrying about my family. Then I got a call from the charity foundation I'd worked with for years. They were organizing a fundraiser for homeless families and asked if I wanted to help. Actually, I said, I'd like to make a donation. $100,000. The woman on the phone was quiet for a second. That's incredibly generous, Judy. Are you sure? I'm sure, I said. I'd been planning to give Kelly $100,000 for her 40th birthday next year. It was going to be a surprise, but now I decided to give it to people who actually needed it and who would actually appreciate it. I transferred the money the next day. The foundation sent me a thank you letter and told me how many families the money would help. A year passed after I moved into my apartment. I built a life that was entirely mine. I woke up when I wanted, ate what I wanted, spent my time how I wanted. Nobody told me I was being unreasonable. Nobody showed up at my door demanding things from me. I kept volunteering at the food bank. I joined a book club at the library. I started taking yoga classes. I made new friends who didn't know anything about my family drama and didn't care about my money. Emma and I still met for coffee every few weeks. She was doing well in school, getting good grades, thinking about college. She never asked me for money, and I appreciated that. Sometimes I'd give her a little something, but she never expected it. One day when we met, she told me Tyler had asked about me. He wanted to know why you never come around anymore, Emma said. What did you tell him? I asked. I told him the truth. That mom said something really mean about you, and you decided you didn't want to be around people who treated you that way. How did he react? He felt bad, Emma said. He said he didn't understand what was happening that day. He just laughed because everyone else was laughing. He's young, I said. He probably didn't know better. Do you think you'll ever forgive them? Emma asked. I thought about it. I don't know. Maybe someday I'll forgive them, but that doesn't mean I'll let them back into my life. There's a difference. Emma nodded. I think I understand. I heard through Emma that Kelly and Mark were still struggling financially. The mortgage was hard for them to keep up with. Kelly was working 2 jobs and exhausted all the time. Mark was taking on as much overtime as he could get. They'd had to cancel their cable and cut back on a lot of things. Part of me felt a little sorry for them, but mostly I felt nothing. They'd made their choices. They'd treated me like an ATM machine and then wished I was dead. Now they had to deal with the consequences. My parents sent me one more email about 6 months after the first one. They wrote that I was a disappointment, that they'd raised me better than this, that I should be ashamed of myself for abandoning my family in their time of need. I deleted it without responding. I also heard that my parents had been complaining about me to their friends, telling everyone that I'd gone crazy, that I'd cut them off for no reason, that I was cruel and heartless. I didn't care what they told people. The people who mattered knew the truth. Around the 18-month mark after I'd moved, I got a letter in the mail from Kelly. She must have gotten my address somehow, maybe from Emma. The letter was long. She wrote that she was sorry for what she'd said at the barbecue, that it was a terrible joke and she didn't mean it, that she missed me and wanted to fix our relationship. But then the letter went on to talk about how hard things were for her family, how they were struggling to make ends meet, how the kids needed things for school, how she hoped I'd understand and help them out. So even her apology was really just asking for money. I threw the letter in the trash. 2 years after I'd overheard that conversation at the barbecue, I was sitting in my apartment one evening when I realized something. I was happy. Actually, genuinely happy. I had peace in my life. I had friends who cared about me for who I was, not what I could give them. I had activities that filled my days with meaning. I had enough money to live comfortably and help causes I believed in. I didn't need my family, and they clearly didn't need me except for my wallet. I thought about my ex-husband sometimes. We'd stayed friendly after the divorce. He'd send me a Christmas card every year, and I'd send one back. He didn't know about what had happened with my family. We didn't talk about personal things like that. But I was grateful that when our marriage ended, we'd handled it with respect. We'd been kind to each other. We'd split things fairly and moved on without bitterness. I wished my family could have shown me the same respect. Emma graduated from high school when she was 18. I went to her graduation ceremony and sat in the audience with the other families. Kelly and Mark were there, but we didn't speak. We didn't even make eye contact. After the ceremony, I met Emma outside and gave her a card with a check for $5,000 for college. I told her, use it for books or a computer or whatever you need. Emma hugged me tight. Thank you, Aunt Judy. You've been so good to me even when I didn't deserve it. You apologized and you meant it, I said. That's what matters. Emma went off to college that fall. She called me sometimes to tell me about her classes and her roommate and her life. I was proud of her. As for me, I kept living my quiet, peaceful life. I donated to charities. I volunteered. I traveled when I felt like it. I spent time with friends who valued me. 3 years after that barbecue, I can honestly say I don't miss my family at all. Not my parents, not Kelly, not Mark. The only one I have any relationship with is Emma. And that's enough for me. I learned something important through all of this. Family isn't just about blood. It's about respect and love and treating each other well. And when people show you who they really are, you should believe them. My family showed me they didn't value me. So, I stopped valuing them. And I've never been happier. Sometimes I think about that $40,000 I gave Kelly. The money I can never get back. It still bothers me a little, but then I remember the $100,000 I gave to charity. The money that helped real families who needed it, families who were grateful. That makes it all worth it. I'm 48 now. I have a good life. I have my health, my home, my independence. I have friends and activities and purpose. I don't need people who wish I was dead.